So today's topic of integrity. So this is a hot topic for me because I actually have some pretty strong opinions on a few things. So, basically, whether or not you agree with my personal values, I want you to challenge your values and actually have a strong sense of value and a reason that you're doing something a certain way, because I think that's part of the problem is maybe people are looking for a certain thing without considering the quality. Hi, I'm watching you from Morocco. That's awesome. I've never been to Morocco. It's definitely on my top list of places that I would love to go. And actually we have framed pieces of artwork and even textiles from Morocco. So I've gotten to see like hands-on and even frame and design a frame around pieces of art from Morocco, and hear personally from people that have gotten to travel there. So thank you for your comment. So integrity and value. So this is something you can do early on, and it requires a mindset change as well, and mindset and practice, because sometimes at first it seems really hard to put things into practice, but if you get in the habit of thinking a certain way and making decisions based off of a consciousness around your values, then actually you find that it's pretty much second nature. So to give you an example of this, I'm going to give you one of my values that is probably the hardest one for people to grasp, and that is that I don't shop at fast fashion. I don't shop at Forever 21. I don't shop at H&M. I don't shop at Express, which that one took me a while because that one was almost the hardest because they have these 40% off sales, and technically they might be a little bit better quality than H&M, but I don't shop there. And even I've continued to kind of filter brands on. I target those because they're pretty much they're the cheapest, so they're so easy to want to shop at, but they actually are pretty much blatantly based solely off of just producing clothing with no integrity, no sense of design, and making it cheap. So that's why I have a strong opinion. This is not something I've always done through my life. This is a decision I made 4 years ago, before I started fashion school. And I guess part of it was okay, I'm going to school to learn high-end design, so I want to have good karma. But also just in learning kind of the whole philosophy of the companies, and just also how they essentially it can get very, very deep when you talk about things like sustainability and humanitarian issues within the fashion industry. It's very complicated, and it's very kind of shocking, and it's such a large industry that it's also just super hard to change, and essentially even higher end brands that do have values that aren't perfect because you're operating on a global scale. So if I were to offer a message about integrity, it would just be that if you're going to buy something, find at least a little bit about what message a brand is trying to push, and if it is in line with your feelings and your belief system, because there are plenty of brands out there that are at least making an effort in recycling their fabrics, organic fabrics, or just sourcing textiles that are sustainable, they can be recycled, or they come from maybe a better process, they're made with less of a toxic process, or they are treating their workers they are treating their workers with respect, or just paying more attention to the overall quality of the factories in which clothing is reproduced. And yeah, like these are all things within the fashion industry that are tremendous problems. And really, I mean, there are like ways that you can change it within the industry, but ultimately, in a consumer world, you as the consumer have a lot of power in the action that you take. I mean, that's essentially how you as a consumer have power immediately and every day, and that is in the choices you make. So, yeah, I'm not necessarily here to say like any one way. Like, I know some people like vegan fabrics, that is their thing that they want to focus on, like animal rights, and I'm absolutely a proponent of like animal rights, animal like treatment, like quality and all of that. For me, what I'm really focused on is like the treatment of the workers in the factory, and probably first and foremost the one that I feel like can develop the most, like that's the one I feel like I can develop the most into my own personal brand, because essentially everything's made in San Francisco, and even jumper right now, everything is going to be manufactured in, or up to now actually, everything has been manufactured either in San Francisco, right down the street from us, or in Colombia. We're working with production and all our fabrics there, and we have a more close-knit communication with them. So it's, for us, like starting on a smaller scale and growing bigger, you have like in those initial steps a little bit more control of the decisions you're going to make as you grow as a company as well too, if you start out early like with your values. So, and then the same thing like with your personal style, if you start out early with your values and start to shop according to them, then you'll end up just having like pieces that all represent your values. So other ways you can shop for your values are like sourcing local, or knowing the designer that the clothing comes from. Or I mean, in California there are so many like community type of designers, or just like really, and actually I know this is worldwide as well. I'm not sure like for every part of the world, but I know it takes place in other parts of the world, where actually the best shopping niche you could get into is the up and coming designer, because they are small, they're kind of at like the height of their creativity, so you can actually get really kind of like new and like creative and like even trendy, or just like really kind of one of a kind pieces of clothing for a fraction of the price of like a global luxury brand. But then you're actually shopping with like a connection to that particular designer, because they're not like, you're actually interacting with that designer almost like on a couple degrees of separation at most, maybe even 1 degree of separation, because actually many of my clothing actually comes from friends who have inspired me to be a designer. And so actually that's really cool, because I interacted with them and they've designed the clothes, and I know that they work really personally with the people that are manufacturing their clothes, and it's almost like family. Like, so I'm thinking of one friend who goes to India to have her clothes made, and one friend who goes to Bali to have her clothes made, and they're interacting in a community and a family to have these items made. And so these are just kind of ways I want you to think. I kind of showed you the one I feel strongly about, which is fast fashion, but ultimately, if you start to do the research and start to think this way, I will be happy, because it's kind of like, in my opinion, the solution to solve the problem of so much waste in the industry, so many toxins in the environment, and just like, I mean, that's the other thing that I consider a lot, is the concept of mass production and how to get away from that too, because there are also a surplus of textiles, and surplus of like things made that just kind of go to waste and they kind of don't end up anywhere. So for me, I'm pushing towards like small batches or even pre-sales. Like they're all things that really require like the opposite of what we've grown accustomed to. Like, because I also know I've ordered something from a young designer and I've waited 2 months to get it. So it might require you to change the mentality of having something immediately, or having like impulse shopping, or don't fuck so much on if you're getting a deal out of something, or like if something's on sale, like that's why you buy it. I mean, that's essentially like why I'm pushing define your personal style. And I'm going to talk more about this in shopping, is that you should buy something because it means something to you and it's personal to your style and it's relevant to your style. And so it is an entire mindset change for many, I think. But yeah, so just if you are having to wait for a couple months to have something made, like that should be, in my opinion, like a good thing, because you know that they're putting like the integrity into it and they're not like overproducing. Or that's another thing that my friend does, is she actually makes some of her designs from surplus fabrics, so that she's not creating new fabrics, because a lot of the bigger companies will just make a ton of fabric and then whatever's left over, it just goes into like these vast fabric warehouses. And so I have a friend who, she gets all of her fabric, or some of her fabric, from like these warehouses, so it's already been produced. She's not creating any more waste. So yeah, I was gonna say one more thing. Let me think. Yeah, I just it's easier to, if you are into minimalism as well. Like it's all about just having a consciousness behind your choices, and also just knowing your power of choice in what you buy, especially like in a globalized world where it's very driven by like consumers and consumerism. So anyone logging on here have any thoughts on this? Want to share any of their personal values, or even share if you disagree with me on anything? But see through. I mean, I've started the process of like integrity for myself. I think first of all through like wanting to eat like organic food, and then so the idea is like, yeah, that's the last thing I'll talk about, is the fear of making a change like that it might cost more, or it might not be worth it. I think cost is actually a big fear for people, but the trick about that is that if you're buying things of like higher quality that really resonate with you, you might end up buying less things overall. So as far as like how much you're spending, it should hopefully even out, or you'd be surprised. Sometimes the cost isn't even that different. So all right, I have one last announcement. This is my first attempt at going maximal. If you tuned in yesterday, it was Elise and I debating on minimalism versus maximalism. It's actually really insightful, because she gave me like kind of some ideas to think about, like what if you are new to minimalism and you're interested in trying to achieve that aesthetic. Hi Sydney, thanks for the heart. Yes, so I'm going to talk about, this is our next art exhibition. And before I wrap this up, I will introduce you to our new guest at the gallery. After I put on my hairpiece. Yep. So I'm going to introduce you to Miss Donut. You're welcome to come visit me at any time at the gallery and visit Miss Donut and give me some input on what she should wear. I'm thinking she might need some white lace stockings, but let me know if you think the fishnets are better. Anyways, Miss Donut, do you have anything to say to the live cast? I know I'm putting you right on the spot and you just got here. So anyway, this is Camila's art. She's an artist from Argentina. She is just super adorable, and I guess her art has been featured in National Geographic and I'm trying to remember the other one, but yeah, so basically that's Miss Donut, there's Miss Popcorn, there's Miss Pie. Miss Donut has a sister, so it's it's gonna be super fun. The art opening is also going to have 3 other artists, which we have Patricio's art right here. Some of you have seen the pug, and this is a newer piece of his, but he's gonna have more of the screen prints and his line drawings, and then 2 other artists that I still have yet to meet and see what their art is. So that's going to be, I think, on July 13th, but it might be like the day after or the day before. I'll let you know. But, so lots of fun things to look forward to. Tomorrow's topic is going to be body image. So I am going a little bit out of order if you are following along on the PDF. So body image, I think, goes along with like this entire series because it's super relevant to everyone, and I want to just talk about all of the different points and areas around it so that you can start to incorporate it in